Morning, Bill. It's,
Okay.
sewer line.
All right, thanks.
It's a sewer. Fine.
Jimmy said it's live on his end and good to go whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Okay,
Still fine. Oh, it just turned 6.
Is
No, it sits
What
here.
clock's wrong back there?
Excellent.
Yeah, okay.
There we go. All right, good evening. It's 6 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the September 8th, 2020 regular meeting of the Franklin County Public School Board. The first item is recognitions.
We've got a few recognitions to make tonight. We do not have our team members of the month set up with living in the world of Corona right now, but we do want to recognize some employees who, if it weren't for them, at the beginning of this school year, which is we've gone off to a tremendous start, it wouldn't have been possible without these folks. The first group I want to talk about, and this again, along with our theme of FCS Lemonade, making lemonade out of lemons, I want to say special thanks to the following people, and that's our Chief Information Officer, Jimmy Pack, our Instructional Technology Coordinator, Stella Pollard, our Land Technician, Mark Roberts, and our Computer Technicians, Edward Folk, Nathan Simpson, Jody Heller, John McLean, and Justin Peebler. This group has been tasked with just an enormous amount of work over the last few months, preparing Chromebooks, getting hotspots ready, changing and kind of adapting on the fly to this new way of instruction. And I know it's been a stressful time for them as they prepared and fixed literally thousands of devices over the last few weeks. And Jimmy, Stella, Mark, all the computer techs, fantastic work. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And while I'm on that same kind of topic, huge thanks to Kyle Sexton and the Student Services Department here at Central Office. When it came time to help pass out hotspots for our families that were in need, our computer techs and our technology department was so incredibly busy, and Student Services stepped up to the plate and says, we can assist you. We can, and they set up in this boardroom and delivered about 140 hotspots over a couple of day period to families in need. And we still have more to go. We'll talk about that in the superintendent's report later, but Kyle and his staff really stepped up, and I couldn't thank you more. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
I was going to say real quick, the Brad McKinney, he's allowed some of the bus drivers to go over and be with maintenance to be able to help them because they're overwhelmed right now with everything's going on.
We have so many people that have stepped up. Thank you for mentioning Brad and transportation. I've seen bus drivers pressure washing bleachers, everyone. It's a team effort, and those folks have really stepped up. And again, thank you to everyone.
Yeah, don't tell Brad I say.
Brad is as good as they get.
All right, thank you. Are there any public comments?
No public comments.
No public comments. Okay, on to new business. First item is Frankfort Plant Board Internet Access Memorandum of Understanding.
I'll be glad to talk about this in great detail. Attached for your approval is the MOU with the Frankfort Plant Board that will assist in the current internet access gap that we see. The recommended motion is to approve the Frankfort Plant Board Internet Access MOU.
For the superintendent recommendation, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. All right. So yeah, let us know what this.
All right, so I've been, we've been working for several weeks with the plant board, and I want to thank Tracy Klein as a principal who has brought to our attention really the need, the significant need of her students and her families with internet access. And all of our principals, they've talked about this need, and we've supplied hotspots for many. And there are still others that, again, we've got hotspots on order, and not all of them have come in because every school district in the country is trying to get these things right now. So John Kubine with the plant board contacted me and said, we would love to help in whatever way we could. And that conversation led to us getting a group together that participated in a phone call with the plant board. And then Gary Zhang with the plant board and I have been working on crafting this MOU for several weeks. Basically, what this is going to do is we're going to start off with about 100 of our families and then kind of assess where we are. But this MOU, the plant board will provide high-speed internet access, 25 megs of speed, which is more than enough for the Google Meets and Zoom meetings and the things that our teachers are doing. It's normally a $44 a month charge. They're going to provide this during this time of crisis this year for $20. And we are going to use CARES Act funds and seek FEMA reimbursement to pay for that. Since we've started talking about this, the city and the county, we've also had some discussions, and they, I don't want to speak for them, but they have mentioned the idea of the city and county also donating some of their CARES Act funds to help offset the cost, since these are their citizens as well. So to do a family, or to do 100 different families for 9 months at $20 would be $18,000. And again, that's money that we're going to seek outside of the general fund. We're going to use CARES Act, FEMA, and it will provide internet access for this year. And then at the end of the year, you know, the MOU will end, and it's something that we could then address at that time if it was something that we would want to continue. But huge thanks to the plant board for their willingness. We still have families in areas that the plant board doesn't service. So we have something else later on in the agenda that is some additional hotspots through Verizon. And the hope is that maybe some of those will be able to help provide service. But as one other element of this, beyond just the families, they also are going to offer some independent, like hotspot zones, if you will, access points. And we're going to be able to, for instance, like at the old Bald Knob School, that was a location that we talked about would be a good place to put one of these things, so that then, you know, it could have, it could have the ability to provide, you know, some service for people who would come to that location. So again, we're trying everything that we know to do to remove the barrier of access to internet as possible. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. I think we have some Frankfurt Plant Board folks maybe on the call. If not, I can answer questions about the MOU.
Doesn't look like it.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, any questions?
Yeah, I do. But Larry, if you want to go ahead, I was just going to ask, why 9 months? If we're only going to be in hopefully 6 weeks, why are we signing up for 9 months?
The thought there was just that's the time of the school year. This would just get us through the end of June if we entered into this.
And the contract allows for a 30-day cancellation.
It does.
So it's actually, it looks like it's through June. Yeah, so
I
it's
believe
through
that's-
June. I think it's through the end of the fiscal year next year. But upon the 30 days calendar written notice, either party can terminate.
And by the way, and that's something that they have not approved this yet. They're waiting on us to approve it. So if there's some type of a recommendation that you all want to make, I'll be glad to take that to them. We thought this would be, you know, a pretty good way to just get us through the school year, and then let's assess where we are.
Now, from my understanding, what you're saying is this is homes in Frankfurt, probably most, you know, within the internet access that they have.
It's
And they're going to set those up because they, for whatever reason,
normally there would be a $30 connection fee, and they have agreed to waive that fee. I said that would be a barrier for us, and so they've agreed to waive the connection fee. This would be anywhere that the plant board services, and frankly, I think we need to look at it from an aspect of which of our families on this list does not have internet yet that is in this service area, and let's target them first. And again, we're just trying to find a way to reduce the barriers.
Now, we reaching out to some of these families, and somebody's, I assume they're letting them know.
Yes, and some of these families we're providing right now bus transportation for some of our families to come into the school. for a part of the school day to get internet access in some of the most remote places. My hope is that at least for some of those students, and the plant board did an analysis, we sent them all the addresses of the people that don't have internet access, and then they came up with, okay, here's what we can come up with. And we're going to use that list that's like our master list and start identifying and targeting those.
And I had some people saying, they had saw students in the parking lots of some of our schools sitting on the sidewalks using their computers there.
Yeah,
And
and
so,
yeah, anything that we can do that we can avoid that as much as possible. We want our kids to be comfortable. And even if we get to this point where we're able to bring students back, this can still play a very valuable role because, students can use this for review. Now that we're using Google Classroom effectively, it's never going to go away. Our teachers are always going to now be able to use it. They're going to be able to record their lessons, even if they're live with students, and be able to record those lessons, put them in Google Classroom, and then when a kid's absent, we can just say, oh, I'm sorry you missed. Instead of saying, here's the notes, we can say, here's the lesson. It's online. And if we're able to help provide internet access to that child, I think it's a win-win for us.
I know some of the folks that's got these hotspots, they wasn't working. So.
And we've been working on, we've had an issue, and I don't want to get too into the technology of it. Mr. Pack could talk about it in great detail, but we've had an issue with the AT&T devices that I think we've now come up with a solution for. Actually, Jimmy's been working, day and night on trying to get these things to work, and I think we've got it figured out now. But again, it's for the most part, we've had a great deal of success, but we've had limited devices that have had some issues, no question.
I have to say that along this line of these are the computers and everything, your staff has done very well connecting with those people to get them online, because some people couldn't get online, and the staff has done very well working with them to get folks online. I appreciate that much, because that's good, positive things.
I agree, and I think our teachers have done an amazing job, just an absolutely amazing job transitioning their instruction to this new way of doing business, and they've been great.
Well, I appreciate the fact that the plant board is stepping up and giving us an option that's affordable to us through our grants to get internet into the homes where they don't have internet now.
I agree, and I want to really, again, say thanks to Gary Zhang at the plant board, because he and I, when first talking about this, the initial thought was doing the 5 megs of speed, and he recognized and said that's just not going to be fast enough, and was willing to step it up to this 25 megs of speed, which is fantastic.
All right. All in favor of the superintendent's recommendation, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. The next item is approved policy 08.113.
This is the second reading. Policy 08.113 is attached for your review and approval. The modification is to add back the 8th semester requirement. The language is listed there on page 1. The requirement has always been in our policy, was previously removed during the KSBA update for all districts, but individual boards can modify the policy to include specific requirements. The first reading was done on August 3rd, 2020. The recommended motion is to approve modification of policy 08.113 as presented.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussions?
Mr. Cobb, in the requirements, there was a part that says that students shall complete an individual learning plan, ILP. Is every student going through a career and also a related post-secondary? Every student going through that?
Yeah, and that's something that's in Dr. Masters. Dr. Masters helps set up the ILP and works with our principals to ensure that it's functioning. One thing that we've seen was that the former program that we used for the ILP. It was really more compliance. It was checking a box. And I've asked Dr. Masters, and he's really been working hard to make it more of a meaningful experience for students. And that's really good in terms of seeing the ILP as part of this process, because yes, we want that to be part of the graduation requirements. We want that, but more than just checking the box, it's about making sure that we introduce students to options that they can be successful with.
Does that count as career rating?
So yes, and that is something that we're still, we've been working with the Chamber of Commerce, and they're having a little bit of a change of leadership there, but it's still something that I hope that one, I'm sorry if it was. We're still working on the work ready certification in addition to work ethics certification. So yeah.
Now, this is for both schools, the same thing.
Yes,
'Cause I
same
know,
thing.
Like I said, I'm hearing a lot of people's asking me, and I'll wait till you report to ask about Western Hill, Frank County, because they're so much different.
Yeah. So yeah, no, this is a policy that oversees both high schools. Yes.
All right, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. The next item is approval of updated Title IX policies.
The U.S. Department of Education has published an amendment on Title IX sexual harassment that went into effect on August 14th. Board approval is recommended, and the first reading was on August 3rd, 2020. Attached are the policies with the proposed changes from KSBA that reflect the new legal requirements. The recommended motion is to approve the updated Title IX policies as presented.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any questions?
Mr. Perkins?
Yeah, Mr. Perkins was the second. All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. The next item is COVID-19 emergency leave resolution.
Attached for your approval is the COVID-19 emergency leave resolution that includes authorization for the superintendent to approve short-term leave related to COVID-19. The recommended motion is to approve the COVID-19 emergency leave resolution as presented.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions? So this is paid,
It showed, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it 10 days they receive?
Yes.
So what
And-
happens if you get it the second time? Do you get those 10 additional days or whatever, what the doctor says?
Yeah, Yeah, to be 100% honest, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen in that situation, but we're going to have to look at each one of those situations individually. What KSBA recommended here was do not change your policy or your procedure because that's more of a permanent change. The board should pass a resolution which then grants this leave that has been approved at the state and level. So that's why this is in here as a resolution and not a policy.
all right, that makes sense to me. And if you are seeing lots of people who are ending up needing more than the 10 working days because of COVID, you'll let us know.
Yeah, and usually what happens at that time is the employee, and taking COVID out of it, the employee would contact Holly Atkins, our Director of Human Resources, and they would be looking at an unpaid leave or something along those lines.
Okay. All right, all in favor of this motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And the final item on new business is the property easements.
So we've had two proposals to move easements located at the Early Learning Village and the maintenance building due to being outdated and having drainage issues, and they are attached for your approval. The recommended motion is to approve the easement proposals as presented.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? I know some of us have had individual questions about this, but is there nobody? Okay. All right. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Item 5, construction. The first item is, or the only item is turf field pay application.
We do have turf field project invoices. They are attached for your review and approval. You can see the individual amounts to the company CSI, Geman Rubber, Target Technologies, Schmitz Foam Products, Shaw Sports Turf, the Moats Group, O'Heal Site Solutions, and JRA Architects. The recommended motion is to approve the turf field project pay apps as presented.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Is this the final?
No, there will still be a closeout, but this is close. And just want to, again, go on and say what a marvelous job these companies have done. The excavation company, the turf field company, they have, obviously both fields are going to be played on tonight, I think, or this week, and they look great, and they were very professional and wonderful to work with, so.
One thing I noticed, I know Mr. Perkins and some of the rest of you have been involved in watching what goes on in the fields, but I tell you, the staff from these companies have been very personal, very friendly. You don't find that a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, you go over there, you know, you go to talk to them, and they're very personal and very polite, and, you know, if you could relay that to those folks, that we appreciate their
Sure.
service or commitment of with people and just talking to people is really great.
Great.
So I just want to say that on behalf of the board,
Great.
if I could.
Absolutely, thank you.
Well, and that's like the construction, the people was doing excavating. We had a telephone pole over there that wasn't being used in Franklin County. So when I was over there, they said, do you all want us to, we'll go ahead and take this out if you want. So I contacted Travis, I contacted the Franklin Plank Board. Both of them was in agreement to go ahead and get it done. They went over, took their equipment, got it out of there for us.
Very nice. All right. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Next item is reports to the board. Reports from school councils.
Draft minutes from school site-based decision-making councils are presented for your review.
All right. And then the superintendent's report.
Just wanted to share a few things. Again, we know that internet access continues to be an issue for some of our families, and we're working and doing everything we can to remedy that. We're very hopeful that the MOU that we went into agreement with the plant board with tonight will provide some assistance there. We still have hotspots with AT&T coming in. One of the items under the consent agenda is Verizon hotspots. You know, I've spoken with Mr. Pack, and you know, he has been very gracious about if it's a hotspot and it's available, we're going to try to get a hold of it. And again, we're kind of in competition with a lot of other districts right now. But again, huge kudos to the board. Back when you know, when Ms. Jones was superintendent, for you all doing the Wonder World project, it is really, I mean, it is paying off so significantly now. Every one of our children, every one of our students, even preschool students, has access to a Chromebook. And so we're very proud of that fact. Mr. Perkins, you were going to ask about some
Western Hills, Franklin County. I've had a lot of folks say, how come Franklin County's going a half day, Western Hills doing all day? I mean,
Yeah, I've had the same question, and I've addressed that question, and I know both of the principals have also addressed that question. The simple answer is, the legal answer is, site-based decision-making councils are the ones that approve the schedule for each school. So as a district, we don't have the legal authority to say, here's what, you know, you're going to take these periods and this, you know, as long as they meet the minimum instructional minutes. What the two high schools are doing, and really several of our schools are a little different, and there's nothing wrong with being different. They're looking at things differently. Western Hills It looked at doing that traditional structure of the school day, but then not having the students be logged on for that entire period of time. So if they're 8:30 to 3:30 or 3:20 or whatever, they may have a 20-minute lesson in first period, and then the teacher's going to give them some time to do individual practice or do an assignment, and then they log back in at second period. So when you count up the total number of minutes, it's going to be very close to what Franklin County is doing. And Franklin County is doing office hours in the morning so that teachers can work with students individually. And I saw a great example of that, by the way, when I was in Franklin County the other day. I saw Mr. Johnson, who's been teaching, I think, for 49 years. And I went in his classroom, and he had the Clever Touch up there, and he had students, and this was about 9:30 in the morning. He had students in a small group that were working with him on French issues, and I obviously couldn't understand it, but it was great. So they're doing office hours in the morning, and then they're going on from 11 to 3:30 or whatever it is, and they're 30-minute straight through, and then a short break, and then 30 minutes straight through. So their teachers are then using that time for their instruction. And so it leaves open the morning or the evening so that they can do practice and mastery. I applaud the fact that each school is doing something that suits their school. And I know that sometimes, it's like the grass is always greener, a student at Western Hills will be like, well, then why can't we do that? But then you might have a Franklin County student saying, well, I'd rather do, so so that's a long answer to really a short answer question, and saying that the site-based council is the one that sets that schedule.
Well, one of the big things that I see is the Franklin County Career Technical School. There is no way, online that you can learn how to weld or be a nurse or be a carpenter online. You've got to, that's kind of a hands-on situation, and I don't know what's.
I agree, and we've got those kids coming in and doing those things. So Mr. Sanders has worked very, very hard on developing a schedule with Mr. McKinney to bus students in for blocks of time. And with the new regulations from KDE, previously it was 10 students in a group that we could have in at one time. Now it's 14. So in essence, we can bring in students for 2-hour blocks of time, 1 or 2 days a week, couple of days a week, where they can just focus on the welding, the doing it, the hands-on part for that time that they're there. It's like lab time, for lack of a better word. And then they use the other time during the week for the learning, the book work, for lack of a better word. So long story short, 100% agree with you. And Mr. Sanders, in working with the principals and with Brad, I think they've got it going on, and they're excited to get to see the kids again.
Well, I know in the past, before all this corona thing hit, with Western Hills' schedule being different than Franklin County's, their students was coming in and having to leave in the middle of the class, and it was really causing a lot of conflict. So I don't know if there's anything we can ever come to some kind of resolution where those kids can get to full, because, every one of our students so far is, a lot of them state champions.
Oh, yeah.
We've had some go on to nationals and be in the top 5 or 10. And so
I think even with the logistical challenges they face, even if we had one of those schools on each side of town, it would still be challenging with the way the schedule works and all that. But John has just been a wonderful addition to that school. He is so willing to work with the counselors and with the teachers and with the principals at the high schools. So I think we're doing good things there. I also wanted to say, we have approximately 6,290 students registered and enrolled at this time, including our preschool students. So our attendance, not attendance, enrollment is not significantly off where we were last year at this time. We do have, like I said, over 150 families that are still answering this, we still need to answer the call for them in terms of internet access. And so we're doing everything we can to meet them. And those that do not have it, again, because of this ability to bring in small groups for limited periods of time within the requirements of KDE, we are busing students into our schools. And they sit and do their work, and then we bus them home.
That's in all schools, right?
Yes, we are providing that service for every one of our schools, yes.
Do they feed them at school, or do they bring their lunch? Because I know they're giving free food, so are they
Correct.
required to bring just that?
Correct, because we can only have them according to KDE for 2-hour blocks, we're not able to feed them. But in a lot of cases, because when our feeding takes place on Mondays and Thursdays. And by the way, that does segue into this other thing. If you check on social media tonight, we were able to get our food service plan approved by the Federal Department of Education, and we're able now to have summer feeding for the rest of this semester, basically, which allows us to not only feed our students, it allows us to feed every single child under the age of 18.
Oh, wow.
So on Mondays and Thursdays, we'll be able to deliver meals, not just for the students that are enrolled, but also for their little ones in the family who are with them. And so we're very pleased with that.
So that encompasses all students, even students that may
It
be
does.
in the city district? Are they
Well,
helping out?
They're getting, I think they're doing the same thing with the
Oh, okay,
city district.
good.
But
That's good.
But homeschooling or, so kids who are homeschooled,
yeah, so that is, they are able to pick up those meals on Mondays and Thursdays.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
and that's all I have. So thank you.
All right, I guess we're on to the consent agenda.
Oh, the consent agenda is presented for your approval. The recommended motion is to approve the consent agenda as presented.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any questions on
And
any of
Judy, is
these?
the Walgreens exponential learning program, does that come under the CTC?
It does not come under the CTC. I believe it's just operated at the individual schools, high schools, but let me check on that.
It was submitted by CTC.
It was submitted as part of the health services?
I think it was just the experiential learning program. It's a new program.
Okay.
Collaboration with CTC.
See, I thought that was just the high schools, but okay, it is the CTC's.
Experience.
Sorry
Well,
about
good,
that.
that's
Yeah.
good.
All right. Anything else?
It could also, essentially, both the high schools can
Yeah, we can expand it and